So I made mention of Sic Semper Tyrannis, and Pablo immediately pops up. He goes, that was on Timothy McVeigh's T-shirt when they arrested him.
No way, was it?
That is a deep cut, because I knew about John Wilkes Booth with the Sic Semper Tyrannis, and then he shot Lincoln. I knew about that. I didn't know about the T-shirt until I was doing a little more research on the Sic Semper Tyrannis during the commercial break, and sure enough, he's exactly right.
No way! Wow.
The notion is inevitably tyrannical leaders will be overthrown.
Yes,
right.
The people will get fed up and they'll come for you.
So Harriet Beecher Stowe used that. Noted the irony of runaway slave ads appearing in Southern newspapers with the nameplate mottos like Sic Semper Tyrannis and resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. John Wilkes Booth, of course, I made mention of that. It's been used in different mottos for cities, for ships, for regiments, for military uses and things like that. The 149th Fighter Squadron, their insignia is Sic Semper Tyrannis. It's also the phrase and the motto of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, oh, wow.
Which is interesting because this guy was picked up in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Obviously not the same city, but you're still...
Apparently in Altoona, they do not have the phrase that we all know, snitches get stitches.
Now, that's interesting you say that because he got ratted out by somebody.
Yes.
And I'm assuming... Let me be sexist for a moment. I'm assuming it was a woman who ratted him out because I'm going to let you rebut in a moment.
Yes.
Because all I've heard is how hot this guy is. And no dude is remembering the hot guy's face. It was a woman who was fixated on him. And then when he walked in, she was starstruck, but knew she needed to call the police. Go ahead, make your rebuttal.
Of course, the man wants to blame the woman. Surprise, surprise, Chris. You could have came with something different. It was some lady's fault. Of course it was. No, there's no way a woman was giving up the hot... killer guy or whatever. I feel like it's some jealous dude, and he wants to be the hero and insert himself in this storyline and say, I caught the bad guy. So I feel like it's got to be a dude. It's always a man's fault, you know?
All right. Well, I'm glad you're breaking the stereotype then. That's good.
Since we're doing stereotypes today.
Why is it so hard? I mean, up until as I was coming into work today, I got the breaking news this morning that they had this person of interest, and I thought, something's really cracking now. But I mean, it's been 5-6 days now, right?
Sure.
And they had cameras everywhere, and we had footage of the guy. It didn't take long for them to leak that out to the media and make sure that everyone had, be on the lookout for this fella.
Did they really genuinely believe, though, that the general public, wanted to help at all, considering this is something that we all are affected by? And or did they really feel like $10,000 was going to be enough to motivate anybody?
Well, they upped it to 50.
Oh, they did?
They did over the weekend, yeah. They upped it to 50.
I mean...
Which basically, the FBI runs the rewards similar to an auction.
It goes up over time.
That's right. If 10,000 isn't enough for somebody to roll, is 50,000 enough? Nobody rolls. 100,000, nobody rolls. 250. Well, 250 is life-changing for a lot of people,
why didn't you guys hold out? Way to go, McDonald's guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, person.
McDonald's lady. Ratted him out. So the guy goes into this McDonald's at a strip mall in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Somebody recognizes him and they call him in. I'm fascinated by the aspect of his appearance because the thing you said when you came in, and I know it's kind of fun, but he is attractive.
Yeah, he's an attractive, very young man, 26 years old.
Yeah.
And
idealistic.
It's not who you would expect, I don't think. You think like, maybe it's some creepy...
A grumpy middle-aged guy.
Yes. Yeah, no. And it seems like, I don't know. Does that qualify as Gen Z? 26 years old? Yeah. Yeah, so, all these things.
Gen Z's first assassin?
I wonder. And I also am like, that puts away any myths about them not wanting to go to work because this guy was like, I'll do it.
Wow.
And he planned it all out. So if he wanted to, he would, ladies, because this guy got it done.
Something struck me as a bit ironic. The guy's good looking. How do we know he's good looking? Because he was wearing a mask in all of his photos except for one.
Well, supposedly the storyline is that he was flirting with the person
at the hostel.
At the hostel or whatever, or that person had requested, hey, pull down your mask so I can see you
he
or
was
whatever.
Flirting with her.
I mean, he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
Men and their hormones.
Well, his hormones may be satisfied for the rest of his life behind bars.
Yeah.
And the pickings are a lot slimmer there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you thought hostile girls and McDonald's workers were a tough catch, wait until you're...
Do you think that he would even catch any animosity behind bars, or would people behind bars look at him and be like, well, damn, you did something that a lot of people had thought about doing?
I don't know.
So I don't know.
I think it's a different world when you're behind bars. I think you got to join a gang either way.
I would just only have to assume, because I don't ever want to know.
So this guy whose carnal desires meant that he pulled his mask down to flirt with somebody, like, hey, I'm good looking. She needs to see this. And as a result, we've got a full frontal facial on this guy.
Well,
and that's what they plaster out across the press, and that's what gets recognized. Had he not done that, had he not been flirting with this person, we might not even know.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree.
So the other thing, as you made mention, some people didn't want to roll because they looked at him almost like a vigilante. We love vigilantes in this country.
I love a good underdog story. I really do.
Think of Hollywood, right? We love the Punisher. Right? Oh, he's going to get vengeance over those tyrannical, terrible people.
What they're calling him online, the Adjuster.
The Adjuster.
Yes, he's had the nickname online on TikTok. They've been referencing this guy who we now know is Luigi Mangione or whatever. That's what they're saying his name is. That he's been referred to as the Adjuster on tons of TikToks.
Okay, so it's kind of a play on the Equalizer, the Punisher, the whatever.
Yes.
Okay, all right. History regards some of these people in the same way. Guy Fawkes, and you saw the Guy Fawkes masks 5-6 years ago. They were everywhere. And I reminded people, Guy Fawkes was a terrorist. He tried to blow up Parliament because he didn't like them. You know, it didn't matter. He was an underdog who was standing up to the perception of tyranny at the time. I think, didn't we make mention of David and Goliath last week?
Yes, we did. Yeah, that was the reference.
So think of, and I think perspective is everything. I want you to imagine, remember the United States, we pulled out of Afghanistan. It was a big mess, right, when we pulled out of there. Imagine before we pull out of Afghanistan that we're rolling through different villages and we're rooting out the terrorists. And we send over our top general. Our top general is there, and our top general is addressing the troops. Troops, I'm very proud of the job that you've done. You're keeping the world safe. And the top general is addressing the company. And some little villager, some little boy happens to see what's going on as the general is addressing the troops, and this little boy takes it upon himself to take his starter gun, like his first rifle that his father gave him while he was herding goats, and he shoots the general. We would go, oh my gosh, our general was assassinated, right?
That kid's a terrorist.
That kid is a terrorist. Right. And imagine if the rest of that village, who felt like they were being occupied by this United States military, they take up arms and they start doing some real damage to the military, right? We would say, look at that village of terrorists. And it wouldn't be a second thought in our minds if we said, send in the airstrikes.
And in general, I think that is the messaging when we go into other places.
And yet, I just told you the story of David and Goliath from Goliath's standpoint. Right? So all of this is to say perspective is everything. Was the CEO of the UnitedHealthcare, is he a tyrant who is picking and choosing who lives and dies based on his policies and based on how much he clears for his shareholders? They made $100 billion in Q2 of this year. They made $100 billion in Q3 of this year. This is while their Change healthcare system had been attacked by, had a cyber attack, right?
Right.
And they weren't paying out, which means you were still paying your premiums, but your claims weren't being adjusted.
Yeah, at like 90%, the claims were just not happening. They
just
were being
not
denied.
happening.
They were
Exactly.
being denied.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.